Old Hollywood has a way of pulling you in. Watching those classic movies, you get lost in the glamour, the magic, and the effortless charm of the stars. It's easy to imagine their lives off-screen as just as perfect, but once you dig a little deeper, you realize that the love stories behind these icons were often far messier than we think. From Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio's rocky relationship to the passionate, scandal-filled marriage of Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, these stars' personal lives were filled with drama, passion, and heartbreak. Want to know what really went on behind the scenes? Let's take a closer look. Bette Davis and Gary Merrill. Meet Bette and Gary, a couple whose love story was anything but ordinary. Both had been married before, but when their paths crossed, it triggered a romance that was as thrilling as it was messy. It all began in 1950 on the set of All About Eve. Bette Davis, a Hollywood legend in her own right, was trapped in a failing marriage to artist William Grant Sherry. Then she met Gary Merrill, her co-star, whose deep voice and undeniable charm quickly caught her attention. Playing her on-screen love interest, Gary shared an undeniable chemistry with Bette that quickly spilled over into real life. Their connection was magnetic, the kind that everyone around them couldn't help but notice. There was just one problem. Actually, two. Both Bette and Gary were still married. Merrill had a wife, actress Barbara Leeds, back home, while Bette was barely holding on to her third marriage. But their attraction was unstoppable. By the time filming wrapped, they both ended their marriages and wasted no time tying the knot in July 1950. At first, they leaned into the idea of a fresh start. They adopted 2 children and moved to a quiet farmhouse in Maine, hoping to escape the pressures of Hollywood. But life with Bette and Gary was anything but quiet. They were both stubborn and unapologetically outspoken, which led to explosive arguments. Gary's struggle with alcohol only made things more chaotic, while Bette's perfectionist attitude kept the tension alive. One particularly shocking incident revealed just how volatile Bette and Gary's relationship had become. One evening, Bette invited a friend to stay over, assuming Gary was out of town, but she was dreadfully mistaken. To her horror, a drunken Merrill unexpectedly staggered into the house, starting a nasty argument with Bette before heading upstairs. When Bette followed, the tension escalated into a full-blown fight. In his drunken rage, Gary turned his anger on Bette's friend, leaving her bruised and shaken. Terrified and desperate to shield her friend, Bette took the young woman back to her parents, begging them not to press charges. The girl's family agreed, but only after receiving a significant financial settlement and confirmation from a doctor that their daughter had not been abused. The ordeal left Bette deeply shaken. At first, she saw it as the final breaking point and filed for divorce, ready to end the turbulent marriage once and for all. But Gary's hold on her was strong, and eventually she dropped the proceedings. Explaining her decision to her daughter, she admitted, "I won't face being alone again. All men are the same in the long run." For 10 years, their relationship swung between passionate highs and stormy lows. By 1960, however, both had reached their limit. The fairy tale was over, and they finally parted ways for good. Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy shared one of Hollywood's most legendary and complicated love stories. They were like fire and ice, completely different yet inseparable. She was bold, outspoken, and full of energy, while he was reserved, quietly confident, and deeply rooted in his Catholic faith. But when they met on the set of Woman of the Year in 1941, you could tell they deserved each other. Their chemistry was electric on screen. Together, they made 9 films that showed off their witty banter and emotional depth, but their real-life relationship was far from picture perfect. Spencer Tracy's strict Catholic faith made divorce unthinkable, so his marriage to actress Louise Treadwell remained intact despite their deep personal struggles. This meant his relationship with Katharine Hepburn had to be kept under wraps, aided by the Hollywood studio system's ability to manage public perception. Hepburn, in contrast, had been married before. She tied the knot with Pennsylvania businessman Ludlow Ogden Smith, but divorced him in 1934, valuing her independence over societal norms. Tracy's marriage to Louise, which began in 1923, was far more complicated. They had 2 children, John, born in 1924, and Susie, born in 1932. John's diagnosis as deaf shortly after birth deeply affected Tracy. He internalized this as divine punishment for his sins, a belief that weighed heavily on his mind and heart. His guilt drove him to emotionally distance himself from his family. Though Tracy and Louise separated at one point, they later reconciled. However, he spent much of his life living apart from his wife and children, staying in hotels or rented residences. His sense of duty and faith kept him tethered to his marriage, even as he formed a profound, lifelong connection with Hepburn. Spencer Tracy never publicly expressed his feelings for Katharine Hepburn, a silence that only fueled the mystique surrounding their relationship. They carefully avoided being seen together in public, maintaining separate homes to shield Tracy's wife, Louise, and to keep the ever-watchful Hollywood gossip machine at bay. In those days, big stars were bound by morality clauses, and the studio heads, terrified of audience backlash over any hint of scandal, went to great lengths to keep up appearances. Behind closed doors, Tracy wrestled with his own demons. His Catholic guilt over his strained family life weighed heavily on him, and he suffered from anxiety, depression, and insomnia. Alcoholism was another battle he fought for much of his adult life. Hepburn, deeply empathetic, once described him as tortured. Her devotion to him was unwavering. "All I wanted was for him to be happy, safe, comfortable," she once reflected. "I liked to wait on him, listen to him, feed him, work for him. I tried not to disturb him. I was happy to do this." Hepburn, despite her dedication to Tracy, didn't let their relationship eclipse her career. She continued acting, taking on roles that interested her rather than guaranteed hits, often working far away on location. This distance helped reinforce the image that they weren't a couple, just two stars leading separate lives. When Tracy's health began to decline in the late 1960s, Hepburn stepped away from her career to care for him. She didn't see it as a sacrifice. She saw it as love. "I just wanted to be there so he wouldn't worry or feel lonely," she said. Their love story lasted until Tracy's death in 1967, but Hepburn didn't attend his funeral. She wanted to respect his family and the boundaries they had always kept. Looking back, she called their time together one of the most important parts of her life. Their romance wasn't flashy or perfect. It was full of sacrifices and quiet moments that only they understood. But it was real, and in a world like Hollywood, where everything seemed fake and polished, their love stood out as something rare and unforgettable. The next couple who faced their own set of struggles are Audrey Hepburn and Mel Ferrer. Audrey Hepburn met Mel Ferrer in 1953 at a party hosted by Gregory Peck. Ferrer, an established actor and director, was captivated by Audrey's grace, while she admired his sophistication. They began working together, and their shared passion for the arts quickly turned into a romance. In 1954, they married in a private ceremony in Switzerland. The union seemed idyllic. Audrey's elegance paired with Mel's creative drive. They collaborated on projects like War and Peace, 1956, blending their personal and professional lives. Audrey often credited Mel with being her mentor, guiding her in her career. However, their relationship had its challenges. Mel was known to be controlling and critical, which sometimes stifled Audrey's gentle nature. There were rumors that he resented her growing fame, which often overshadowed his own. On top of that, Audrey suffered multiple miscarriages during their marriage, adding emotional strain. Despite these struggles, they had a son, Sean, in 1960, whom Audrey adored. She sought stability in her marriage, but by the late 1960s, their differences became too much. After 14 years together, they divorced in 1968. Their marriage, though fraught with difficulties, was a significant chapter in Audrey's life, shaping her both personally and professionally. We all know how tough and talented you have to be to make it in Hollywood. To create a great film, directors need their actors to form strong connections. But sometimes, those connections get a little too strong, spilling over into their personal lives and causing some drama. One couple that appeared to face this was Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rossellini. Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rossellini's relationship was bold, scandalous, and career-defining. It began in 1949 when Ingrid, a Hollywood star, wrote a fan letter to Rossellini, praising his films Rome, Open City, and Paisan. Their connection deepened while filming Stromboli, 1950, turning into a passionate affair. The problem? Both were married. Ingrid to Swedish doctor Petter Lindström, with whom she had a daughter, Pia, and Roberto to Marcella de Marchi, with 2 sons. Their affair triggered international outrage, especially when Ingrid became pregnant with Roberto's child before divorces were finalized. In 1950, she gave birth to their son, Roberto Ingmar Rossellini, followed by twin daughters, Isabella and Isotta, in 1952. The scandal was so severe that Ingrid was denounced on the U.S. Senate floor as a symbol of immorality. Hollywood blacklisted her, forcing her to rebuild her career in Europe. Their marriage was stormy. Rossellini's controlling nature and infidelities, along with cultural and professional clashes, strained their bond. Their films like Europe 51 and Journey to Italy were artistic but commercial failures. One major controversy erupted when Rossellini had an affair with Indian actress Sonali Dasgupta during a film project, further tarnishing their marriage. By 1957, they divorced, but their union had already reshaped both their lives and careers. One thing is clear: they truly loved each other in the beginning and had the courage to commit. The next couple, however, couldn't have been further from committed: Greta Garbo and John Gilbert. Greta Garbo and John Gilbert first crossed paths in 1926 while filming Flesh and the Devil. Their electric on-screen connections soon blossomed into a real-life romance. Gilbert, a seasoned Hollywood star, was mesmerized by Garbo's mysterious allure and quiet elegance. Meanwhile, Garbo, still finding her footing in the industry, couldn't resist his charisma and sophistication. Their romance became the talk of Hollywood. Gilbert was known for his big, dramatic gestures, often expressing his love in grand ways, while Garbo was the complete opposite. She was very private and preferred being alone rather than being part of the flashy Hollywood life. Despite their differences, their love burned brightly, for a time. The major controversy surrounding their relationship occurred when Gilbert proposed to Garbo in 1926. He reportedly planned an extravagant wedding, inviting the elites of Hollywood, but on the day of the ceremony, Garbo never showed up. She left Gilbert waiting at the altar, claiming she wasn't ready for marriage. The incident humiliated Gilbert and marked the beginning of their downward spiral as a couple. Though they continued working together in films like Love and Queen Christina, their personal relationship grew strained. Garbo's reluctance to commit and her increasingly reclusive nature clashed with Gilbert's desire for stability and public affection. Adding to the tension, Gilbert's career began to falter with the advent of talkies, while Garbo's star continued to rise. Some speculated that Garbo's fame outshining him was a blow to Gilbert's ego. By the early 1930s, their romance had fizzled, but Gilbert's life took a darker turn. His declining career and struggles with alcohol led to his early death in 1936 at just 38. Garbo, who mourned him quietly, would later describe him as one of the few people she truly loved. A major reason why many old Hollywood marriages fell apart was the imbalance when one partner outshined the other. However, the next couple on our list couldn't be further from fitting that description: Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio. Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio's relationship was one of Hollywood's most famous and turbulent love stories. Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe met in 1952, when DiMaggio, a retired baseball legend with a few acting appearances, was drawn to Monroe's beauty and stardom. They quickly developed a strong connection, and after a brief courtship, they married in a private ceremony in San Francisco in January 1954. At first, their marriage seemed like a fairy tale. DiMaggio, the stoic and protective sports icon, with Monroe, the glamorous, vulnerable movie star. However, their union quickly faced challenges. DiMaggio struggled with Monroe's public image and her career choices, especially her racy roles in films like The 7-Year Itch. He became increasingly jealous of the attention she received, particularly from her male admirers. The tipping point came after Monroe's iconic scene in The 7-Year Itch, where she stood over a subway grate in a white dress that billowed up around her. DiMaggio, who had hoped for a more private life with Monroe, was furious at the publicity surrounding the scene, feeling it was too provocative. Tensions escalated, and just 9 months after their marriage, Monroe filed for divorce in October 1954. Though their marriage ended, their bond remained strong. DiMaggio continued to support Monroe even after their divorce, and he was often seen visiting her while she struggled with mental health and career setbacks. Monroe once said of their marriage that it was something she had never planned or dreamed about, becoming the wife of a great man. Monroe had grown accustomed to his paternalistic guidance and the protective side of his personality, and to her, he was a father figure with whom she could have sex with. And according to her, the sex was pretty damn good. Monroe and DiMaggio definitely shared a deep and intimate connection, and Monroe felt a sense of comfort and protection in their relationship. So sad it had ended the way it did. Another interesting couple is Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton's love story was filled with passion, drama, and controversy. They first met in 1962 on the set of Cleopatra, and their connection was instant. At the time, Elizabeth was already a 2-time Oscar winner, and Richard was a well-known Welsh actor. They were both at the peak of their careers, but there was a big catch. Elizabeth was married to Eddie Fisher, and Burton was still married to his wife, Sybil. Their affair quickly became a huge scandal. Elizabeth's marriage to Eddie Fisher was already on shaky ground, but when the world found out she had fallen for Richard Burton, who was also married at the time, it ignited a media frenzy. It was the perfect example of forbidden love, with Elizabeth being slammed as a homewrecker for breaking up Burton's marriage to Sybil. Eddie Fisher, who had been married to Debbie Reynolds before Elizabeth, was devastated by the betrayal, and the press had a field day, fueling the drama at every turn. The public couldn't get enough of the scandal, which only made their love story more sensational. In 1964, Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton tied the knot in a private ceremony in Montreal. Their wedding was as much an act of defiance as it was a celebration of their passion. They weren't just in love, they were rebelling against the expectations of society and the press. The media dubbed them the most glamorous couple in the world, but their marriage was far from picture perfect. Despite their intense chemistry, their relationship was full of turmoil. Burton's drinking, fiery temper, and and affairs kept things constantly on edge. Elizabeth, no stranger to volatile relationships, matched Burton's intensity. Their fights were as explosive as their love, with moments when it felt like their passion was tearing them apart. One particularly memorable fight occurred during the filming of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? In 1966, when Burton stormed off the set and Elizabeth famously slapped him. But their romantic moments were just as interesting too. They traveled to some of the world's most luxurious places, often showing off their love in front of photographers. Their time in Venice, especially, was lovely, with them sharing intimate moments on gondolas. Burton even bought Elizabeth the legendary 33-carat Taylor Burton diamond in 1969, a gift that cost millions and became a symbol of their extravagant love. Despite the glamour, cracks began to form in their relationship. In 1974, they divorced for the first time, only to remarry in 1975 in Botswana. But their second attempt at marriage was short-lived, and by 1976, they were divorced again. Burton once described their relationship as a love affair of the century. Though their marriage was full of drama and controversy, it was undeniable that they were two of the most iconic lovers in Hollywood history. Okay, guys, so far, most of the couples we've covered had their relationships come to an end, but the next few on our list show that when love is given a real chance, it can create something truly magical. Next up on our list are Sylvester Stallone and Jennifer Flavin. Sylvester Stallone and Jennifer Flavin first met in 1988 when Jennifer, a model and aspiring actress, was just 19 years old, and Sylvester, already a Hollywood icon thanks to his Rocky and Rambo franchises, was in his early 40s. Despite the 23-year age gap, the two began dating. Stallone was fresh off a high-profile breakup with actress Brigitte Nielsen, and Jennifer, still young and trying to build her career, struggled with the pressures of dating a superstar. Their relationship was on and off, often caught up in the chaotic Hollywood lifestyle. At one point, Jennifer even found herself briefly engaged to Stallone, only for him to break it off in 1994. The split was a messy one, making headlines as Stallone reportedly dumped Jennifer over the phone while she was overseas. She was heartbroken, and Stallone went on to date other women, including model Janice Dickinson. But despite the pain, Jennifer didn't give up on their love. After a few years apart, they reconnected in 1998. This time, things were different. Stallone, now more mature, was eager to make it work. Age was just a number in their relationship, especially when it came to emotional maturity. Despite Stallone being older, Jennifer was the one who had a clearer understanding of what she wanted, while he was still finding his way. In 1997, they were back on track, and by 1998, they got engaged again. This time, there was no backing out. They married in 1997 in a small, intimate ceremony in London, and it was clear that this was a more grounded, mature love. Over the years, they built a family together. In 2002, they welcomed their first daughter, Sophia, followed by Sistine in 1998 and Scarlett in 2002. Stallone, who had struggled with keeping relationships intact in the past, had finally found stability with Jennifer. Despite Stallone's famous tough guy persona, he was known to be an adoring father and husband, often posting about his family on social media, showcasing his softer side. However, their relationship wasn't without challenges. Stallone's busy career, with back-to-back film projects and media scrutiny, sometimes placed stress on their family life. But Jennifer remained a strong presence in Stallone's life. She supported his career and helped him stay grounded. In 2018, when Stallone's mother passed away, Jennifer stood by his side, proving just how far they had come from their tumultuous early years. Today, they remain a stable, loving couple. Next up, we have Alec Baldwin and Hilaria Baldwin. This pair met in 2011 when Hilaria, a yoga instructor and fitness enthusiast, was introduced to Alec at a restaurant in New York City. Alec, known for his sharp wit and his roles in 30 Rock and other films, was coming off a high-profile relationship with actress Kim Basinger, with whom he had a rocky marriage and a tumultuous divorce. Hilaria, much younger than Alec, had a calm, grounded presence that seemed to balance out his sometimes impulsive personality. She was passionate about health and wellness, and Alec, who had struggled with anger issues and a complicated public image, found peace in her company. Despite their age gap of nearly 26 years, their connection was instant. In June 2012, just a year after meeting, they were engaged, and by June 2013, they were married in a beautiful ceremony in the Hamptons. Alec was often seen gushing about how much Hilaria had changed his life for the better. The couple quickly became one of Hollywood's most adored duos, often seen together at events sharing sweet social media posts and displaying their affectionate dynamic. By 2015, they had welcomed their first child, a daughter named Carmen, followed by several more children in quick succession, making them a growing family of 7. In 2020, Hilaria Baldwin faced a major controversy after accusations that she had exaggerated her Spanish background. It was revealed that while she had presented herself as being from Spain, she was actually born in Boston and raised in the U.S. Hilaria later apologized, acknowledging her mistakes and explaining her connection to Spain through her family. Alec stood by Hilaria throughout the controversy, supporting her publicly, but the situation still had a lasting impact on both of their reputations. Despite that, Alec and Hilaria's bond remained strong. Alec, who had faced his own public battles, including a famous 2007 voicemail scandal involving his daughter, found solace in his family life. Hilaria, who had once been Alec's grounding force, continued to support him through the ups and downs of his career and personal challenges. These two did not play with their wedding vows. The couple often posted candid moments of their family life, showcasing their growing children and their strong connection. Another couple who truly honored their wedding vows was Bruce Willis and Emma Hemming. The two first met in 2007 at a gym in Los Angeles. At the time, Bruce, the action movie legend known for his roles in Die Hard and The Sixth Sense, was going through a period of personal transition. He had been divorced from his first wife, Demi Moore, for several years and had 3 daughters with her. Emma, a British model and actress, was new to Hollywood, but had already made a name for herself in the fashion industry. Bruce Willis and Emma Hemming were introduced by a mutual friend. Despite their significant age gap, Bruce was 52, and Emma was just 23. The two instantly clicked. Emma later described Bruce as gentle, funny, and loving, while Bruce admired her calm demeanor and supportive nature. Their connection was strong from the start, and they quickly became inseparable, building a life together. In 2009, just 2 years after meeting, they tied the knot in a private ceremony in the Turks and Caicos Islands. The couple welcomed their first child, a daughter named Mabel, in 2012, followed by a second daughter, Evelyn, in 2014. Bruce, who had previously been married with children, embraced fatherhood again with joy. What truly set Bruce and Emma's relationship apart was the way they handled life's challenges together, particularly when Bruce's health took a dramatic turn. In 2022, Bruce was diagnosed with aphasia, a neurological disorder that affects speech and language skills. As his condition worsened, Emma became his primary caregiver, offering him constant support, love, and care. In a joint statement with his family, Bruce's daughters from his previous marriage and his ex-wife Demi Moore expressed gratitude for Emma's unwavering dedication and the way she stepped into this challenging role with grace and strength. Emma's commitment to Bruce during this difficult time has only strengthened their bond. She has shared heartwarming moments on social media, showing glimpses of their life together, including their family outings, vacations, and cherished moments with their 2 daughters. Despite the heavy weight of Bruce's diagnosis, Emma has remained resilient, showing her love for him with every passing day. Lastly, we have Sam Taylor Johnson and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Sam and Aaron's relationship began in 2009 when Sam, a famous British filmmaker and artist, cast 18-year-old Aaron in her film Nowhere Boy, a biographical drama about John Lennon's early life. Sam was 42 at the time, and Aaron was just starting out in his acting career, having already made a name for himself with roles in Kick-Ass and Albert Nobbs. One thing led to another, and it didn't take long for their professional relationship to turn personal. Despite the 23-year age gap, the two found a deep connection in their shared artistic vision and mutual respect. The press, however, was quick to jump on the unconventional nature of their relationship, given their age difference and Sam's status as Aaron's director. Critics were quick to label their romance controversial, but the couple stood strong, unfazed by the negative attention. In 2012, 3 years after meeting, Sam and Aaron married in a private ceremony in Somerset, England, with many of their close friends and family in attendance. They welcomed their first daughter, Wilda Ray, the same year, followed by a second daughter, Romy Hero, in 2015. Their relationship seemed to be thriving, with the couple often sharing glimpses of their life on social media, showcasing their family, which included Aaron's daughter from a previous relationship. Sam and Aaron supported each other's careers. While Sam continued to rise in the film industry, directing projects like 50 Shades of Grey, 2015, Aaron's star power only grew, with high-profile roles in Avengers, Age of Ultron, and Nocturnal Animals. Their partnership was built on shared ambitions and mutual understanding, and they made sure to always put family first, even in the midst of their busy careers. However, Their relationship faced a serious challenge when they decided to collaborate on the film A Million Little Pieces, 2018. Sam directed the film, and Aaron played the lead role, but working together professionally tested their relationship in unexpected ways. The pressures of being both partners and colleagues created a new layer of tension, and at times, the stress became overwhelming. Despite this, they weathered the storm and emerged stronger. You made it to the end of the video. Looks like you enjoyed it. If you did, check out these other videos on your screen. Maybe you'll like those too. Thanks for watching.